The Florida Gators coaching staff is being built to win in 2026.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I have some transfer portal players that I want Florida to target. Before we talk about that, we're going to talk about this coaching staff that did get finalized. But first, today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. And this Florida Gators coaching staff, like I said, and we talked about this yesterday. We went live for an hour, and we'll be doing that again starting next week. We'll do the live shows again. But we spoke about this yesterday a little bit, that the coaching staff is a different approach, right? It's finalized, and we're not going to go through every name here. We'll talk about some specifically. But the Florida Gators coaching staff in 2026 has taken the approach that we've seen a lot in college football, which is, I don't know how people are describing. I'm calling it the winners win approach. That's it. You've got the Curt Cignetti going from James Madison to Indiana, and that was a big leap, right? It was. He was going from the Sun Belt to the Big Ten, and he immediately won in the Big Ten, and that mattered again. Just because he's a winner, right? He's Google me, I win. That's what I do. He wins. This wasn't like, and I mentioned this again yesterday. This isn't the Lincoln Riley has such a cool offense and such a productive offense and all that. And the main argument against Lincoln Riley, even when people were talking about him for the Florida Gators here, is that he doesn't win. That's it. Like, because that's what the name of the game is, right? But like Lane Kiffin, he wins. He's got the scheme stuff. He wins. He doesn't win championships. He doesn't win that, but he's winning football games at Ole Miss, and that matters. All right. Now he's at LSU, of course. But Lincoln Riley at USC, not winning enough. He's not. At Oklahoma, wasn't winning enough. He was winning a lot more than he was at USC, right? But he's still not winning enough. And part of it is saying the defensive coordinator, a lot of the things are his own fault. That's why I was so out on Lincoln Riley, right? But you're watching college football now, they target winners. That's what it is. It's as simple as that. Like, teams are no longer going, give me the scheme guy, give me the gimmick thing. Like, no, just give me a guy that wins. And you saw it with Curt Cignetti from James Madison to Indiana. You saw it with Bob Chesney from James Madison to UCLA this year. You saw it with, Florida with Jon Sumrall, right? He got hired. He said, winners win. I'm a winner. We're going to win. You saw it with, UConn taking Jason Candle. Toledo's winning as coach. You saw it with Toledo replacing Jason Candle with Mike Jacobs, one of the highest win percentages in all of college football right now, from Mercer, coming up, taking a step up in competition. But like, teams are less scared of the step up in competition now, right? They are. They're less scared of that. And I want to make it clear too. This is different from like when Billy Napier got hired, right? Because when Billy Napier got hired, the wins were cool. They were, but it was always, this is a program builder. Like that was the archetype there. Like if you're playing college football 26, it's like, that's the archetype, program builder. I don't know if that's the actual archetype. But that's what it was. If you're talking about a Lane Kiffin, you're talking about, that's the offensive whatever. I don't know what the names are in college football 26. But that's like your offensive guy. But you're talking about these new guys where it's like their archetype is win football games. That's it. They're not we're going to build it this way. It's, I'm going to go out there. My job every year is to win football games. Not, hey, guys, it's going to take a couple of years. It's going to be a long process. But, we're going to get this thing done right. We're going to get this off the ground. We're going to build this program. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's not that anymore. It's not. It's guys like Curt Cignetti coming in and saying, I'm going to win. That's what I do. It's guys like Jon Sumrall coming in and saying, I'm going to win. It's what I do. It's guys coming in and their goal from day one is winning football games in day one. Like, that's it. Like that's it. That's all they care about. They're just here to win. They're here to win. And that's all they care about. That's all that matters to them. And that's the way that I'm loving things going, right? Like I care about winning. That's it. Win. I just want to see my team win. It's no longer about building the program, doing this, because let's be real. We're in the transfer portal era where you're going to lose guys every year. You're going to lose guys that have been in your program for 4 years. There's going to be a lot of guys where, hey, if you make it 4 years with a program, you're considered this new era of like a mainstay. You're the Undertaker. He's been here for 30 years. He's been with the company. Like that's what you are now. You're Udonis Haslam. You're the guy that it's like, oh my, hey, what's up, old timer? Like, that doesn't happen anymore. These 4-year players at one school, they always portal. They always leave. Now it's not about building that program of guys that are going to be there for 4 years and stay and last and always do that. Because every year you got to fight to maintain your roster, fight to retain your roster. You got to fight to do that every year. So you know what schools are doing now? Schools are going, you know what? Rather than constantly fight to try to retain this roster, and rather than constantly fight to try to long-term build this program and do what we can do there, rather than fight to do that and fight the inevitable that is roster attrition. Great teams have roster attrition. Bad teams have roster attrition. Florida's at like 18, 20 guys in the portal, whatever it is now. And like, frankly, that's probably what you should have expected from a team that has a new coaching staff coming in. You know, fired Billy Napier, fired everybody other than Gerald Chapman and Day One Wilkins. All the other coaches are gone. All the other coaches are new. This isn't, you know, about building long-term longevity anymore. This is schools are hiring coaches where they go, let's just win football games. That's it. Let's win. That's it. I'm done with everything else. Like, and I love it. I do. I think it's a great approach to say, you know what? If we lose, guys are going to leave. If we win, guys are going to leave. So rather than worrying about if we win, if we lose, whatever we're going to do, whatever happens, let's just go out there. Let's win. That's all. That's our whole focus right now, is to win football games. And if that's the approach, if it's just win, then that's it. Like I'm honestly good with it. I like seeing that trend. You know, I do think that those kinds of guys, they do also help retain their staff, right? Like in Indiana, they've got two of the best coordinators in college football right now, right? Their offense is clicking, their defense is clicking, and they get retained and they stay. And they're not these big hyped up names. They're not people that everyone's talking about. Why? Because they're not this flashy offensive scheme. They're not this insane defensive psycho, right? Like, it's not that. It's guys that just go and do what it takes to win. And I think Florida's got that right now. I think that's the approach Florida's taking right now. And I'm not trying to sound redundant with it, but I freaking love it. I really, really do. Because when it comes down to it, like, that's just good quality football coach. That's it. That's what we've got. That's what Florida has right now. And I love that that's the approach. Really did. And I'm not trying to do like the talking myself into it. I'm just going out and saying, like, you got coaches that just want to win. And I do mean coaches. It's not just, I know Jon Sumrall is the guy that he's like, I'm a winner. Winners win. We're going to win. I get it. He was one that said that. But how the rest of the staff seems to operate, they might not be as psycho as him, but they do also carry that we want to win mentality. And that should be number one. Not my scheme needs to do this. Not we're going to do it this way. It's not about doing it a certain way or looking a certain way. It's about winning. And that's it. And I love it. And I think that you could see that with at least some of the assistant coaching hires. That seems like the obvious selling point for a lot of them. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, right? You're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can do that. And I'm not going to lie, Christmas Day, I'm going to be sitting on the couch watching football. And I'm going to be live betting. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be live betting. That is what it is. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thanks again for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free rips in the podcast and on YouTube. And like I've said, like I feel like college football in general is toward this new winners win approach. That's it. It's just winners win. Just get me guys that win. Don't care how they do it. And I think that Florida's coaching staff resembles that, right? Like, I look at offensive coordinator Buster Faulkner, and he's an offensive coordinator that changes his system and scheme to what fits the personnel, right? It's not, yeah, I'm going to be, like Brennan Marion, for example. Love him, right? He's got the go-go. That's the big selling point. This is my offense. It's the go-go. We're going to have that. It's the Cliff Kingsbury, right? Cliff Kingsbury is like, yeah, I'm an air raid OC. I don't care what else is happening in the world. I don't care what personnel we have. I don't care who we have. I'm an air raid guy. I'm going to run the air raid. It's that. It's their system, right? You've got Lincoln, of course, Lincoln Riley's got his like air spread or spread raid, whatever the hell you want to call it, where it's a lot of air raid. It's a lot of RPO with QB run game involved. They're going to love it, right? Buster Faulkner ran a power spread at Georgia Tech. He ran the hatch attack at Valdosta State. He's shifted his offense every time he's needed to just be what wins, what puts up points at least, right? Obviously, winning will come down to the defense as well, but he just changes his offense to whatever puts up points, whatever works. We've heard, the quarterback competition that there's going to be in Gainesville. We've heard they told Tramel Jones, whoever scores most efficiently, most effectively, most often, that's who's going to be our QB. That's it. It's about scoring on offense, right? And on defense, it's about stopping scoring. And I do think that when we talk about what defense is going to look like with Jon Sumrall and Brad White having, I don't want to say like starkly different defenses, but they're not the same defensive system. You're probably going to see a hybrid of the two. And you'll probably see more of one pop out depending on what they've got, right? Like if they've got the personnel to run more of what Summerall likes, then they'll run that. If they got the personnel to run more of what White likes, then they'll run that. It's about winning. On offense, it's about scoring. On defense, it's about stopping them from scoring. Overall game plan, win. Chris Foster, running backs coach. Brandon Harris, cornerbacks coach. They're both coaches that I've talked about, and I've said, and I'll start with Brandon Harris because he was the first one I talked about because he was one of the first hires there, one of the first position coach hires. With Brandon Harris, I know that he has these great ties to the state, right? His dad's a legend. His brother's a great coach with Florida State, one of the only good coaches on that coaching staff. But Brandon Harris, we haven't seen him be a great recruiter, right? He's got the great ties, but we haven't seen him do it yet. Part of that is because he's been at smaller schools with less resources, right? Part of that. Part of it is maybe he's not a great recruiter. Who knows? I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm just saying we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen him develop NFL DBs, really. That hasn't happened. So you can't call him a great recruiter. At least unless you've got those ties to recruits that have been recruited by him and they're like, yeah, he did a great job. It's just I went to this place for this reason. But we can't say, oh, yeah, he's a proven great recruiter. He's a proven great developer. We can't say those things. What we can say is that everywhere he's gone, especially in recent years, the secondary has improved once he took over. We can say that pretty confidently and pretty consistently, actually, that wherever Brandon Harris goes, the secondary plays better. And again, I think that goes to he's a guy who he just get your unit to perform, and that's it. When we talk about developing, when we talk about recruiting, because also getting them to perform is not development. It's not. Getting guys to play in a system does not mean that you're developing them for the NFL. I mean, look at like Alabama in the late 2000s, early 2010s, right? You had that side saddle, side shuffle that the corners would do. Right? The Dre Kirkpatricks, the D Milliners, like those corners, they would have this like stance that was like a side shuffle more than dropping back, more than a back pedal, more than anything else. And when they got to the NFL, a lot of them would struggle because that's not how you're going to be coached in the NFL. It's not how it's going to work in the NFL. And so they would have those issues. But when they were at Alabama, they were succeeding, right? They were doing their jobs. That was the big difference. It's getting guys to play in your system does not necessarily mean that you're developing them for the NFL. And that does suck to say, right? Because that's going to be probably something held against you. But as far as you're getting the guys that you have to play in the system at a high level, that's going to help your team win. And Brandon Harris has done that. Wherever he's gone, the secondary has all of a sudden played better, even without NFL talent. Chris Foster, he's had Matt Breida. He's had Keaton Mitchell. He currently has Nate Shepard. But he's not known as this big-time recruiter. He's not known as this big-time developer. He's known as someone who gets production from his backs pretty consistently. Even at Northwestern, they got production from the backs. Things like that. It's like, yeah, you can't hang your hat on he's this great recruiter, he's this great developer. Can't hang your hat on that. And a lot of great developers do become pretty good recruiters because, well, they get to say, hey, look at the guys I put in the league, right? They get to say that. But with guys like Chris Foster, with guys like Brandon Harris, with guys like Buster Faulkner, it's like, yeah, they don't have that reputation of, great recruiter, great developer. But they do have the reputation of, well, my guys perform. And that matters. A lot of times that's going to matter more. Like having guys that just show up and perform and do their jobs matters. And it seems like Florida with Jon Sumrall is taking the approach of, I want coaches who are going to get the most out of their players while they're here. And I make that clear to say while they're here. I'm not talking about long-term development for the NFL. I'm not talking about recruiting at a high level immediately and getting these guys to just perform or getting these guys to get sold on your recruitment, to get sold on your development. No, but if you want an ass kicker that's going to get you results, that's what you got at quite a few of these spots. And that's kind of an approach, again, like I said, that's an approach that I really do like that we're getting out of Jon Sumrall. That is just, hey, we've got production. That's it. That's what we're talking about. And yeah, I really do like the approach of just getting good football coaches. That's what it is. It's not about recruiting, developing good football coaches. Get them to play, get them to produce. Florida has been looking for that at quite a few of these spots, and they're finally getting that. There's a couple names I wanted to talk about that I do want the Florida Gators to pursue in the transfer portal. We'll talk about them. We talked about them yesterday. We'll talk about them when we get back with Locked On Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free every single podcast and on YouTube. To wrap up today's show, we're going to talk about two names that I want the Florida Gators to pursue in the transfer portal, right? And again, I spoke about both of these yesterday. They were the last two names that we spoke about yesterday during our hour-long live show, but I wanted to be able to, talk a little bit more about them while not being sidetracked and going off on these tangents. But the first one is the one that I want to prioritize more because I think he's a damn good football player. Miami of Ohio edge, Adam Trick, right? He is the first player that I'm going to come out and I'm going to go, all right, yep, let's go get him. 6'4", 250 pounds, or sorry, 249 pounds. How dare I? How dare I be inaccurate there? But 6'4", 249 pounds, and he's been at Miami for 3 years. Absolute dude this year. Like really came into his own. Really came into his own in 2025. Had 66 pressures this year, which is, I don't know if you know this, but 66 pressures is a lot, especially when you consider Florida's leading pressure getter this year had 17. Just want to throw that out there. Florida's leading pressure getter this year is Jaden Woods with 17 pressures. Okay. And I get it, right? Like I know the main argument that people are going to bring up when I talk about Adam Trick is going to be, okay, well, he's doing it against MAC competition. He's doing it against G6 competition. He's not doing it against the SEC. And so that matters. And yes, you're absolutely right that matters. However, we've done this before. Like we've been through this before on Locked On Gators, right? We talked about Nick Scorton from Purdue, Big Ten, sure. But we also talked about, well, a certain man named Cassius Howell that was at Bowling Green in the MAC, wreaking havoc. We talked about him as well, right? And as damn good as he is, we talked about him here on Locked On Gators, and we were big fans of him on Locked On Gators. He didn't have 66 pressures when he was at Bowling Green. He didn't. I don't even think he had 66 in his 3 years at Bowling Green. But Adam Trick had 66 this year, which, by the way, is tied for the second most pressures in all of college football. And he did it on fewer snaps than the guy he's tied with, Ruben Bain. Okay? He did it on 50 fewer pressures, or 50 fewer pass rushing opportunities than Ruben Bain. But Adam Trick had 66 pressures this year. He's a dude, okay? And when you talk about the level of competition, he played 2 Power 4 opponents this year in Wisconsin and Rutgers. I know, Wisconsin and Rutgers. But if you're going to go, oh, well, he's not doing it in the Power 4 competition, and then I named the Power 4 competition, you go, oh, well, he's not doing it against this. You're not going to keep moving the goalpost every time, right? 12 pressures, by the way, in those 2 games. He had 8 pressures against Wisconsin, 4 against Rutgers. Okay. Damn good game. He also had 7 stops in that game, by the way, in those 2 games, which is stops or tackles for a gain of 3 yards or fewer, including tackles for a loss. So you've got that. Like Adam Trick has produced at Miami of Ohio. And that's a guy that I want in an edge room, right? I'm tired of not having these edge rushers that dominate. Like I want an edge rusher that's just going to come in, make plays, wreak havoc against the pass, and call it a day. I'm good with that. And especially when you look at no matter what level of competition Adam Trick plays against, he has fairly similar production, right? Wisconsin, 8 pressures against Wisconsin, 4 pressures against Rutgers, 5 against UNLV, 6 against Lindenwood, 7 against Akron, 6 against Toledo. Like, you watch him play, and he has fairly similar production against basically every team he's played. It's not like, oh yeah, he's beating up on the bad teams. Like, no, he's consistently going out there and wrecking, and that matters. So Adam Trick is a guy that I want. Play hand up, hand in the dirt, do it all. I want him on the team. Okay. The other player is Ian Gaffard, who I jokingly tweeted about when he entered the transfer portal to say, welcome back, Big Des. Right. But Ian Gaffard, kind of Big Des, right? 6'5". So if you look at the On3 transfer portal, lists him as 6'6", 370. If you look at PFF, he says 6'5", 387. Absolute mountain of a man, right? Plays nose tackle in the SEC. That's like, can't argue level of competition there, right? Nose tackle in the SEC. They had a pretty tough schedule this year, Arkansas, because one of their non-cons was Notre Dame. And he's played really well this year. This is not, oh yeah, Big Des is a big dude that is just gonna sometimes be a space eater and not really make plays other than that one South Carolina play that we're talking about. But Ian Gaffard is someone who came in, started, played a lot of snaps in a lot of games too. Like, that's the thing. He wasn't on a snap count. He was out there playing Texas A&M 62 snaps. Had multiple games with well over 40. Had way more games with. In fact, he had 2 games under 30. 2 games under 30 snaps. One was against Alabama A&M, so they didn't play starters long. One was 29 snaps against Texas. That's it. This is a productive nose tackle from the SEC in the transfer portal that, yeah, 8 pressures this year, not great, right? I do not care. I don't. This is a nose tackle that helps to stop the run and will sometimes rush the passer. I'm cool with that. I really am. Like, I'm cool with you sometimes being a pass rusher. I just need you to be at least a little bit. That's it. But come in and play right away. Play right away. That's it. Like, yep, you're not going to be this elite guy. You might not start for us, right? But you've got insane size that you cannot teach. You have production in the SEC. You have experience. You have 1 year left to get right. And we've got a damn good defensive line coach. We've got a need at your spot. Come to Gainesville. Come be productive. Come be great, right? That's all I'm looking for. It's just guys that come in, compete, be productive. I think that Ian Gaffard can do that. I would gladly take him on this team right now and just, again, add to the staff that is focused on just winning. Get talent. Ian Gaffard's a dude that I want on this team. Plain and simple. Ian Gaffard, Adam Trick. Those are my first 2 guys we're talking about. We'll talk more about them in depth as we get closer to the portal. I think next week we're going to we'll probably do I don't know, we'll probably have a full day talking about like quarterback targets and receiver targets or whatever targets we're talking about. Probably have a full day where, each segment is one different guy. When we get to interior defensive line, we get to edge. If these guys don't have homes yet, we're going to talk about them. We're going to start talking about those guys next week. But thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Gators. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my Rate New York Giants on SI. We will be back tomorrow. We will be back Friday. We will have shows regularly scheduled. No more lives this week, but we will have regularly scheduled shows. And I'll see you all next time.